I don't know what I'm gonna do today. This is my bedroom. I've got a lot of those bedrooms laying around. Alright. How long can you go? I have no clue what this video is about. I just woke up, so yeah. I was in here. Where's my... Huh? I was here. What's in my bedroom? This is a heavy-weighted blanket. God, I punched this bus couple metal bars. That would hurt. It's warm under here. Hey guys, I've got a goal for you. Maybe 200 subs, please. Please. I heard you get a cardboard play button. And, yeah. Progress at 100 subs on my, I'm coming. Yeah, 100 subs, those gaming videos might come out. When I first found out I wanted to have 100 subs. What? Hot dogs. Hey. Oh, we're not going outside. We're going to go into the car. We're going in the car. Come on. Come on. Come on. Paulo. Hey. Paulo. Hey. Paulo. Clubber. Oh, you dog. Come on. Paulo. Clubber. Oh. Why are you? Come on. We're going in the car. He's right there. Right there.
Paulo, get in the car.
Get in the car.
Come on.
Come on.
No, come on.
Come on. Get in the car. You won't get in the car.
Paulo.
Come on.
I'm Paulo crazy. Get in this car. Yeah, that way. Use my top voice.
Yeah. Apollo Creed. Get in the car. No.
You should try it. Come on,
That-
Clifford. Let's go.
I should try this. Apollo Creed. Get in the car. Yeah. Get in the car. Look at his face. He's a Dogs. Doggy doos. Bear your collars. Look at bear. No, it's shot. Well, beat.
Come on.
Buggy. 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 Oh my God. I can't understand them.
The Roberts opinion is stinging. A king, he writes, is born to power and can do no wrong. The president, by contrast, is of the people and subject to law. That is a refutation of this the president's claim of, quote, absolute freedom.
I want to ask you about
There's
another
a bad baby.
this regarding Native Americans.
Yeah, we've got a problem with our We can see the insides of
half
it.
of the land in Oklahoma is within a Native American reservation, a decision that will have huge consequences for both past and future
There's
criminal
Sherman.
civil cases.
2
Betsy,
videos a
this,
day.
You know, listening to the
Leave it
coverage
in the
of this
comments.
yesterday, there was just an amazing sort of emotional response by members of the Native American community. Tell us a little bit about your takeaway from this decision.
This decision is important because, without question, it's a substantial and historic win for the Native American community in
You're
Oklahoma.
looking at my knee
One
right
book
now.
that I think people who are interested in this issue might really enjoy is called Killers of the Flower Moon.
In the
It's a
future,
recorded story about the incredible
well,
treatment
we
of
found
Native
something
communities in
that
Oklahoma,
we
the
really
rise of
need.
the FBI, and the way that
the gaming
federal and
videos,
local law
a
enforcement
webcam.
really failed the Native American community.
So, like,
in
you
that
could record
state.
yourself
That said, one of
with the
one of
webcam,
arguments that critics of this
and
decision
I think that
including
webcam,
Justice
a
Roberts,
webcam
is that it's
also
going to make things more
up through our
complicated in Oklahoma
PlayStation,
for law enforcement.
and
Essentially,
then,
the criticism
like,
is more that particular criticism is a practical one rather than a legal
sorry,
one. And
um,
Chief Justice
and
Roberts
it
tends
will
to
hook
almost
up to the
always
PlayStation
side
so it
and
can
rule
collect
in
the
favor of what law
PlayStation
enforcement wants on issues like this.
thing
But of
in
course,
your
he
face.
decided
I'm
not to
guessing.
today. Rather, these Native
Well,
American
for gaming
communities emerged
webcams.
successful, arguing not necessarily
Yeah,
that the practical.
Yeah. I'm in the
implications
car.
of
I'm in the
mechanics of
car.
law enforcement should
I'm in the
predominate, but
car.
rather that this principled issue of how
I'm in the
Native
car.
sovereignty over native land works should have been the foremost consideration. So this is a historical moment for those communities, without question.
I want to move on before we run out of time because there's a lot more to talk about, including Russia denying allegations this week that it paid militants to kill U.S. troops in Afghanistan. The Russians called this nonsense. It was first reported in the New York Times, and the Russian Foreign Ministry said the initial story in the Times demonstrated, quote, low intellectual abilities of U.S. intelligence propagandists, end quote. Jack, what do we need to know about this?
Well, we need to know that against fierce competition, indeed historically unprecedented competition, this could well be the worst scandal of the Trump administration. It has been 2 weeks since this reveal, since the Times reported that several American deaths, including a car bomb that killed 3 Marines in 2019, that Russia made large payments to the Taliban after those attacks. So there it is. The Times is on record saying that. They have sources. The CIA apparently has been pushing that. And the president, what has the president done? He said we have to find the leakers. Has he said one word to Putin? Has he threatened to pull out our ambassador? has he done anything? What happened here was an act of war committed by Russia against
Oh, the dogs are back here.
our troops
Back
and
here.
our president, rather than defending them and
Back in the back.
demanding answers.
In the back.
Putin, what is he
In the
doing?
back, in the back.
He's inviting Putin back into the G7. He speaks to him again and again on the phone. And according to Carl Bernstein's reporting, he fawns on Putin on the phone. And this gets back to the Supreme Court decision. What is in his tax return? Is the Trump organization, as Adam Davidson cogently suggests, is not true? Is it effectively a money laundering business? Is that its business model? And has Russian oligarch money sustaining Trump? And is that why he seems to be so in hoc?
So I'm looking at a tweet from the president June 28th. Nobody briefed me. Nobody told Vice President Pence or Chief of Staff Mark Meadows about the so-called attacks on our troops in Afghanistan by Russians, as reported through, quote, an anonymous source, unquote, by the fake news New York Times. Everybody is denying it, and there have not been many attacks on us. Betsy, Jack called this one of the biggest scandals of the Trump administration, for which there's lots of competition. What's your view of where this story stands?
Well, it's certainly just absolutely factually inaccurate for the president to say that everybody is denying this. Multiple media outlets, including Politico, have confirmed the New York Times reporting that Russia's military intelligence service offered to pay money, to pay currency to fighters in Afghanistan who killed members of the coalition forces fighting there, including U.S. troops. This is obviously a story that I think horrifies everyone who's familiar with it. Nobody wants to see American troops having dollar figures floating above their heads. One piece of this that's interesting when we're talking about the intelligence briefings, the president obviously has complained that he wasn't told about this. One thing that's interesting is that many of the president's intelligence briefers have privately expressed concerns and hesitations about even talking about Russia verbally when they brief him. I talked about this in detail with a former White House official who was privy to the way that these briefings were structured, who said that throughout the first year of the president's administration, these briefers realized that when they brought up topics related to Russia, particularly topics that didn't reflect particularly flatteringly on the Russian government, the president would respond in such an angry and exercised way that it risked taking the entire briefing off the rails. So the material related to Russia stayed in the written part of his briefings. Of course, there's a written document part of these briefings, and there's also a verbal conversation that happens with it. It's two parts. But those briefers felt that if they were going to effectively give the president the information that he needed, it was extremely difficult for them to do their jobs properly if they raised material related to Russia's malign behavior to President Trump. In other words, the president himself basically disincentivized his top intelligence officials from giving him clear and fulsome information regarding the threat that Russia has posed to the United States and its allies.
Well, indeed, you said it's a story that horrifies everyone, and I think that is true. With the clock running down, I want to move on to at least one more story here. The lingering effects of the Russia investigation, the impeachment trial against President Donald Trump. Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, a key witness in the impeachment trial of the president, will retire after 21 years in the military. His lawyer, David Pressman, said in a statement that Vindman is leaving the Army, quote, after it has been made clear that his future within the institution he has dutifully served will forever be limited, unquote. Jack, tell us about this. What do we know about why Vindman is retiring?
Well, his attorney says that he was effectively pushed out, certainly pushed out of the White House and given a job, sort of a make-work job. And he was on a list to be promoted to full colonel, to lieutenant colonel. And the White House was pressuring the Pentagon not to promote him. And Tammy Duckworth, a senator from Illinois, to her credit, was going to hold up the entire defense bill to protect Vindman. In other words, she was going to say, if you don't give this man a promotion, which he deserves, Purple Heart winner and so on, you're not going to get your defense bill. But he quit before that happened. And to contrast him Purple Heart winner, man who did his duty, answered the subpoena, spoke to Congress, told the truth. He told his father, he reassured his father at the time, here, meaning the United States, right prevails. It didn't in his case, but he's an example of an exemplary, it seems to me, American moral hero, standing up and telling the truth no matter the consequences.
You know, Jack, you mentioned Tammy Duckworth, and I wanted to ask you about her. This is another story. She, of course, is the Democratic senator from Illinois, and she's been talked about as a possible running mate for Joe Biden. And she penned a powerful opinion piece this week in the New York Times responding to attacks on her by Tucker Carlson of Fox News. Carlson attacked her for calling for a national dialogue about removing statues of George Washington. Among other things, Carlson said people like her, quote, actually hate America. Well, Duckworth is a veteran. She lost both of her legs fighting in Iraq. She said she would do it again to defend Carlson's right to say what he believes, but blasted him for daring to question her patriotism. But she said she's used to veiled racist taunts. And she added this line, which I love: these titanium legs don't buckle. It was quite a piece, Jack. What did you read in that speaks to this movement?
Well, yeah, she also quoted Washington himself warning against Americans, quote, to guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism. Well, there it is. Tucker Carlson's pretended imposture of patriotism. You know, it reminds me of Dr. Johnson's patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel, the scoundrel here is not Tammy Duckworth. And imagine the gall of someone like excuse me, a Fox TV host he hasn't served, daring to question the patriotism of a woman who lost both her legs
like
in
bananas in
service.
here.
I mean, it's
Okay.
well,
Banana
it's
shake?
a new low, and it shows that there's no the danger really of the Fox world, that you can say almost anything and you're rewarded for this verbal extremity.
Run the music box up.
These sorts of absurd attacks, but good for her.
All right, well, we're out of time. Jack Beatty, On Point News analyst, thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Betsy Wickham-Swan, national correspondent for Politico, thank you for joining us today.
Why'd you waste all your light?
Listeners, you can continue the conversation. You can get the On Point podcast at our website at onpointradio.org. You can also follow us on Twitter. Find us on Facebook at On Point Radio. On Point is produced by Anna Bauman, Melissa Egan, Eileen Amata, Brittany Knotts, Liam Knott, Stefano Katsonis, Lori McQuilkin, James Ross, Dory Scheimer, Tim Skog, Grace Tatter, Adam Waller, and Sydney Thorpe. I couldn't make this show.
She's a scaredy cat, by the way, guys.
I'm Anthony Brooks. This is On Point.
I don't want to. There's someone in there. Well, we just can't find him because you wasted all the battery.
On Point is a production of WBUR Boston and NPR.
Support for On Point comes from the listeners of WBUR Boston, where the program is produced, and your NPR station. From LegalZoom. For more than 19 years, dedicated to helping Americans with legal challenges, users can start online, and then LegalZoom's network of attorneys can provide advice. More at LegalZoom.com. And the Music Emporium, guitar sellers for 50 years, celebrating the enduring presence of music made on the front porch and center stage. You can learn more at themusicemporium.com.
I'm Anthony Brooks. Coming up next hour on Point. For years, young American men on chat groups have discussed a new civil war called the Boogaloo. They're known as the Boogaloo Boys, and they're now linked to at least 2 murders. We'll look at the origins of the movement. That's coming up next hour on Point.
Where's the music box up? Why didn't you light the music box up?
Of this new economic reality. We know that you rely on trusted journalism to navigate this uncertainty, and that's a privilege and a responsibility that public media takes seriously. We are committed to connecting the dots for you in these times, so please join me, Kai Resdal, every weekday on Marketplace.
On your finger. Oh my God. That's what you get for not turning the audio up and wasting all the battery for the flashlight. You wasted all the battery on your flashlight. That's what you get. That's what you get. That's what you get. Hey, Clark, guess what?
Major funding for
Clark,
points
hey,
provided by
Clark.
Geico,
Clark,
offering
guess
car
what?
insurance as well
That's
as
what you
services for
get.
homeowners and renters insurance through the Geico Insurance Agency. Additional information can be found at geico.com or 1-800-947-AUTO.
From NPR and WBUR Boston, I'm Anthony Brooks.
Can I
This
try
is
and
On
play?
Point. They have guns, military
Hold on.
training, and they favor Hawaiian shirts. They're the Boogaloo Boys, an inchoate far-right movement committed to violent protest and armed revolution against the government. They represent libertarian gun culture, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists. They may be the most dangerous group you've never heard of, accused of plotting acts of violence, including the killing of 2 law enforcement officers. Up next on Point, the origins and the goals of the Boogaloo Boys. First, this news.
Live from NPR News, I'm Corva Coleman. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported about 65,000 new cases of the coronavirus in the U.S. on Thursday. The pandemic continues to spread in nearly all U.S. states. Also on Thursday, Florida and Texas reported daily increases in the number of people who have died of COVID-19. Nationally, more than 133,000 people have perished from the disease. President Trump travels to Florida today to meet with U.S. military leaders to discuss the fight against drug trafficking. NPR's Franco Ordonez says this comes amid the rise of virus infections in Florida.
Leaders of the U.S. Southern Command in Doral will brief the president on efforts to stop the flow of drugs coming into the United States. The White House is touting President Trump's efforts to expand counter-narcotics operations.